Okay, so I have 12 o'clock, so we are going to go ahead and get started. Brandon and Elisa are going to let people in from the waiting room. And again, thank you so much for being here. Hope that you are off to a great start for pre-planning. And our first session for today is launching science for the 25-26 school year. So as a reminder, in order to get credit for this time, all we need you to do is to go into PD&E and register for this course. So it is 35262. Once you are registered for that course, we will make sure that you get credit for your time. And this is the same course number for all of the sessions that you are attending today. So my name is Kristen Luthi. I know most of you, and I am the director of K-5 Science. And this is my amazing team. So joining me, I have Mr. Brandon McKinney. He is our K-5 Science Instructional Coach. Elisa Malone, who is our K-12 Science Program Assistant. She makes sure everybody's stipends get paid and everybody gets credit in PD&E. And then also Brenda McDaniel is our Green and Healthy Schools rep, who is also part of the amazing K-5 Science team. So for our agenda for today, we're going to touch on three main topics. We're going to talk about instructional calendars and pacing guides. We're going to talk about high quality tier 1 instruction, and then we're going to dig into some of our new resources. So you may have noticed that we have brand new instructional calendars for this school year. So many of you were part of a survey that we did last February where we asked for feedback on instructional calendars. And then based on that teacher feedback, we updated our instructional calendars. So I just got a message that popped up that said somebody is from out of the organization. So Brandon, if you'll look into that for me, thank you. So those are brand new for the school year. So make sure you check out the instructional calendars. So also updated is our pacing guide. So if you did not know, Brandon and I are a mighty two-person team when it comes to instruction. And so we really rely on our curators and teacher leaders to help support the development of our pacing guide. So we ask for feedback. We have teacher leaders throughout the district who give us feedback and work on our pacing guides and our instructional calendars. But also this year, you're going to have the opportunity to give us feedback on pacing guides or just resources in general. So on that main science page, you will see a button that looks just like this. It is our feedback form. And so this is a way for you throughout the year to be able to give us that feedback on our pacing guides. So when you click on the green button, you are going to see this feedback survey. So it'll have a place for your name and your school. You'll click your grade level. We're going to ask that you put a direct link to the resource. And then there's different types of feedback that you can give us. It can be about pacing. It can be, hey, this link doesn't work. Hey, there's a typo. Hey, I have a question about this. And then you'll be able to provide that specific feedback for us. So another hot topic is alignment to the milestone. So you'll notice that at the top of the 5th grade pacing guides, there are links to all of our DOE resources. And so in 5th grade specifically, because it's the only milestone course in elementary school for science, we have taken the blueprint for the milestone. We have taken the percentage of the test, and then we have aligned our pacing guide and our instructional calendars based on the milestone. So you will notice, for example, that earth science is 23% of the milestone. It is 22% of the Georgia DOE pacing. And because of holidays and digital learning days, it's about 28% of the GCPS pacing. Also, because of our 9 weeks, it's kind of hard to make sure that it's exact. You'll see that physical science, again, is very aligned to the milestone, and life science is almost identical to those that percentage of the milestone. So when we're looking at pacing guides and instructional calendars, especially for 5th grade, it is going to be very, very tightly aligned to the Georgia milestone. And if you noticed by looking at our new instructional calendars, it is a different pacing from last year and previous years, and it is completely aligned with the recommendation from the state, okay? So now we're going to get to the fun stuff. High quality tier 1 instruction. When we think about science instruction, I want you to remember 3 words: anchor, talk, and do. So we want to anchor our student learning. We want our students talking. If you've been watching our board meetings lately, you might know that WestEd came and did a report on our students, and they said that our students need to be talking more in the classrooms, and science is a great opportunity to get our kids talking. And then we always say that science is a verb, so we need our kids to do the science. So those are the 3 words that I want you to remember: anchor, talk, and do. So in Gwinnett County Public Schools, we use the 5E model for teaching science. And so new this year is this icon, but not new this year is the 5E model. We've been using the 5E model since 2017 when our standards changed, but you'll see it on our lesson plans now. And new this year, we have 5E key task and slide decks. So we're going to walk through what those 5E task and slide decks look like. So you're going to start with engage. We've been doing this. And within the engage portion, you are going to be annotating the learning target. You're going to be doing that notice and wonder protocol with your students where they're looking at the phenomenon. And then you're going to be co-constructing vocabulary with our word catcher strategy. When we get to explore, again, we've been doing this. This is our tinker time activity. Explain. We got lots of feedback that you guys wanted more explain. So that is going to be embedded in the lesson plans. You're going to get to see just in just a second how we have really taken that explain phase and made it easier for teachers to use. Then we have elaborate. Those are going to be those hands-on activities that make students better understand the AKS. And then also new this year is the elaborate, which is a quick check. So I'm going to show you all of these new pieces. So here are the brand new pacing guides for this school year. So I just snipped a piece of it. You will see that for every indicator, we have one 5E lesson. That is our very best thinking around that indicator. So here we have that we're developing simple interactive models to collect data that illustrates how changes in the surface features are or were caused by constructive or destructive processes. So when you click on this 5E lesson plan, that is a complete engage, explore, explain, elaborate, and evaluate for that AKS. So those are new this year. And it's really combining all of those pieces that we've already done. You also see that we have additional resources, lots of additional resources. We like to say that the 5E is the bare minimum that you should do in order to get kids to master that AKS. But we have these other resources to help support you through the rest of the teaching process, okay? So new this year are our 5E lessons for each indicator. We have new formative quick checks. We have new vocabulary cards that are broken into units. Yay, that was a lot of feedback that we got. We also have new review games to help support your students. You see the review game. This one is Jeopardy for this AKS. And then we have updated assessments and leveled text. So a lot more pictures to help improve those resources that were already on the ECOM. So when we're teaching the 5E model, again, we're going to start with annotating the learning target. We're going to engage our students through the notice and wonder protocol. We are going to co-construct the vocabulary with the students. We're going to explore with our students. Remember, that's tinker time. We're going to explain, which is that explicit instruction, and then elaborate and evaluate. So let's dig into what these look like. Starting with annotating the learning target. Why do we need to annotate the learning target? It increases student engagement, it increases student achievement, and it also enhances student ownership of their learning. And so we are excited this year. If you've dug into any of our 5E lesson plans, there are examples already in the lesson plan. So here is an example from second grade. So if you're not quite sure what your learning target should look like as you're annotating it, of course, we want that to be authentic with your students, but we gave you some examples of what that looks like. Then we go into engage. That is that notice and wonder protocol with your students. You will also notice we get lots of questions around how do we get kids to ask those best questions? So within the engage section of the 5E lesson plans, you're going to see a notice and wonder chart. You're going to see how you can take those questions and classify them as open or closed, and how to also get students to refine those questions and pick the best questions. So we tried to be very explicit with our instruction on how to get kids to engage with the anchor phenomenon. So you'll see all of that in our 5E lesson plans. Then we also have our word catcher strategy. That's when we are co-constructing vocabulary with students. So on the left side, you see a quote from Ouida. And I love this quote because it talks about how science concepts are captured in a web of knowledge, not just a word. And that in order for our students to connect the word with that web of information, we have to let our students experience phenomenon and then have those hands-on experiences with our students. And so the word catcher is a great way to get our kids thinking about those words. And again, we have examples of word catchers in our new 5E lesson plans. So you will see, what does it look like when I start the lesson? What does this look like as I'm adding words? And what does it look like as I am co-constructing those meanings with my students? Okay. And again, we've been doing this. All of these strategies have been embedded in our lessons. They're not new. We just kind of compiled them in a different way to make it easier for you. It's a one-stop shop in our 5E lesson plans. So when we have done all of those things, we have annotated our AKS, we have done the notice and wonder protocol, we have started co-constructing meaning with our students, we have anchored our student learning. Okay, the next two parts are around getting students to talk and getting kids to do the science. So explore. Again, that is our Tinker Time activity. We have had Tinker Time for a long time, and we are just labeling it Explain this year. And during Tinker Time, students are actually doing the science, right? It is that explore before the teacher explains, allowing them to start making connections with the content. Once we have done the explore section, our Tinker Time, we are going to dig into explain. This is the explicit instruction, okay? So this is new this year. You'll see it labeled as the explain portion of our slide decks. And this is that explicit instruction where you are explicitly teaching your students. Now, I've started getting questions. Kristen, can we do explain before we do explore? And the answer that I'm giving is no. We really want to make sure that we are sticking to that 5E model, because when we stick to the 5E model, we have systematic, sequential, and cumulative learning experiences for our students, okay? So explain is new this year, and it's embedded in our 5E lesson plans. And then last but not least is elaborating and evaluating. So elaborating is going to be those critical thinking tasks and those literacy mini tasks that we have done in the past. And so it's really getting kids to engage with science through the lens of our science and engineering practices. You'll also notice that we have launch lessons embedded in our pacing guides for the science and engineering practices, okay? And then I told you already, we have brand new quick checks. So you can evaluate your student learning with these quick formative quick checks. And so they're about 6 questions each. And they're for every indicator. So we're super excited about those. So when I have done the complete 5E model, I've anchored my student learning, I've given students the opportunity to talk, and then my students have engaged in the science where they are doing the science. Also this year, we are super excited. You will see the QSSSA strategy in all of our slide decks. So the QSSSA is a strategy from our ML office, and it is an enhanced turn and talk. So when you're using the QSSSA question, you're going to give students an open-ended question. You're going to choose a signal for them to use. You're going to provide them with the sentence stems and then allow them to turn and talk. Then you're going to assess the students by discussing whole class or having students write. And so you will see this icon that says QSSSA on a lot of our slides within the 5E lessons, and that is where we're going to use this strategy to help support the talking of all of our students, but specifically to support our ML learners. Okay, so let's talk instructional resources. We have a lot of different instructional resources for you. We, of course, have on your main grade level page the instructional calendars. You have the science and engineering practices. You have your ML strategies. You have your learning targets and vocabulary. That is where you're going to find those vocabulary cards to support your student learning. And then there's also the K-5 Science Leader Toolkit. Then when you get to your specific unit, so if I click on Earth Surfaces, there I'm going to find my instructional calendar, my pacing guide that has all of the 5E lessons, the Analyzing the Standards document, and then our updated sample assessment items, okay? On our pacing guides, you are going to see a box that looks just like this. There you're going to also find, again, the Analyzing the Standards documents, the updated assessment item bank, our updated text sets that are aligned to each of our indicators, the learning targets and vocabulary. Again, that's where you're going to find those vocabulary cards that are new this year. Third, fourth, and fifth grade have access to STEM scopes and gizmos. So that is our board adopted resource. So when you click on this, it's going to tell you about the different resources that STEM scopes and gizmos provides. You're going to have a possible material list. So as your students are doing those hands-on activities, what materials might you need? We also have our ML supports and then the science and engineering practice resources and launch lessons. So all of those can be found on your pacing guides. We are super excited that you have a brand new button on your landing page that is called CLT support. And so if you are planning CLTs with your grade level, or if you just want additional support, if you need to understand an AKS better or to see what we have on the Comm Center, this is a wonderful resource for you. So when you click that CLT support, it is going to take you to a slide deck that has so much information from lesson planning to pacing. So you'll see the pacing guide, the vocabulary, the notice and wonder protocol, examples, our graphic organizers that support that indicator, the text sets, the anchor charts, the word catchers, the learning targets, the phenomenon, the vocabulary cards, the lesson bank, and the instructional calendar. So really, this is a one-stop shop for you to really dig into each indicator so that you know what is available to you. We also have slides about assessment, whether it be the formative assessment, the unit review game, remember that's new this year, or the sample assessment items. Also new this year, we have science formative assessment strategies. So how can you formatively assess your students? We have, of course, the FAPT and the quick check formative, but if you just need a quick strategy to formatively assess what your students know, this is a great resource for you also. We also have information on small group instruction and then ML strategies. So the CLT toolkit support, it has lots of different information to support you in your grade level as you are planning science. Okay, so another hot topic is science materials. So on this slide, you will see the materials that have been provided to your school. So fifth grade, you should have a hands to mind everyday phenomenon kit. Now the everyday phenomenon kits are designed for one unit. So fifth grade has weathering and erosion. Guess what? Y'all are about to teach weathering and erosion when the students start back into 2 weeks, almost 1 week soon. So go ahead and pull out that weathering and erosion kit. It is going to have a phenomenon, it's going to have materials for you, and it is a great way to start off the school year learning, okay? We also provided all of these next time you see, and NSTA books. These are a wonderful resource from everything from scientific notebooking to phases of the moon to clouds to never stop wondering. These were provided in hardback covers so that they are library bounded and they are in your school. You have 10 copies of each of these books, and these are great to support your students as you are going through your science units. But wait, there's more. We also have downloaded money to every school. So in May, we sent an email to all of the bookkeepers and all of the principals downloading money to the school for science. So you have science money in your building to help support all of your science instruction, all of those hands-on activities. So if you need materials, please reach out to your local school administration and let them know what you need, okay? Because there is money allotted to science instruction. We never want materials to stop us from doing what is best for our students, okay? And then, as always, Brandon and I are here to support you. So if you have any questions, feel free to email or Teams me or Brandon, and we will get back to you as soon as we can. So thank you so much for your time. Actually going to have about 4 minutes to go to the bathroom before you jump onto your next session. Make sure you have registered in PD&E and let us know how we can support you. Thanks, everyone.